Call to order this regular meeting of the Lenox Township Board of Trustees, Monday, April 1st, 2024 at 6:31 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. Do we got a microphone problem?
Yeah.
It's batteries.
Justin, 1, 2.
We will continue approval meeting agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Hall, seconded by Trustee Clifford. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, approval of minutes of March 4th, 2024.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 4th, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion by Trustee Gurley, seconded by Treasurer Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Public announcements. Seeing none, public comment. Please note that there is a 3-minute limit, so please, if you are looking to address in public comments, please go up to the microphone. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Kenny Esper. I live at 32,032 Mile Road. I gave each one of you board members a packet of my concerns on the approval or disapproval of TJ's Enterprises sand permit. Number one, there's 3 wells that I know of in the area. My son got called in to work. His is one of the wells, so I don't have that information right now. Number 2, what type of backfill is going in and where they're coming from? That's the way I understood on the original permit, there was no backfill. Number 3, who knows the total amount of dirt that's been taken out of that farm? Number 4, there is a limit on stockpiling height, and I think they're pushing it pretty hard. Who has been overseeing this project? So, I feel both the board and the planning commission should at least once a year go out, look at the site with a little understanding of what's going on out there. What is the true depth of that lake? On the outside perimeter of the property, they have dug down at least to the level of the lake or deeper and backfilled. Now in your package, these were pictures taken Saturday evening of the property. The first picture is from the northwest partial of the property. You will see there is pipe in there and other construction equipment sitting in there, or paraphernalia, whatever you want to call it. The number 2 picture, if you look at the center of it, that is where they hit the clay. If you would look at the north side of the property, Starting down the east side, you can tell where it's been backfilled with clay versus the sand in the pit. Number 3 is also the northwest corner, showing where they hit the clay, and you can see the difference in the colors of dirt. 3A is taken from the northeast side of the property. Note, you can see where they've been pushing the dirt up against the berm. Number 2 part of it, right by the dozer, is a well that's supposed to be monitored and watched. And if you look at the dozer's roughly 12 feet high, if not higher. Look at where that well casing pipe is.
3 minutes is up, Mr. Esper.
There's a whole lot in there that needs to be checked and watched, because nothing against the Piper's Act, we need to get a little control on them. And if you skip to picture 8, last Monday night, they told us asphalt and concrete has been removed from the site. And by Holt, it was still there Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Esper.
Hello, I'm Bruce Washington. I did bring in the original permit letter back in November 17th of 2000, and it said that they want to create a 22.5 acre lake as a result of mining operations. They will remove a total amount of 1.4 million cubic yards of material. Nowhere does it say that any sand or dirt or fill will be allowed to be brought in. So then today I spent some time calling Eagle, talking to the materials management team, and the water resources representative is supposed to call me tomorrow from Eagle. The other representative said he would probably come out here and measure the depth of the lake, check the water, check the ground and everything. If the township doesn't have the ability to do that, or have someone hired that's independent to do all of that. And I think I don't have really too much to say other than this is now the 24th year from a 5-year permit, and it keeps getting extended almost automatically each year. And I think that at some point it just has to stop. And the biggest thing and the biggest concern to me is that all this dirt is being brought in and dumped right adjacent to my property. We have no idea where that dirt is coming from. And usually people that have really good quality dirt, really good quality topsoil, they don't just say, can we just bring some over and dump it off for you because we don't need it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hey, Dennis Haig, 3940 County Line, Lenox. My concern on this is, like 8-ish miles down the road. But if there's contaminants that get in there, there's been talk of the wells that are now affected. If you get them in there and there's a plume gets in that aquifer, it goes downrange, and there's a huge cost. There's a huge liability. You've seen a couple cases of that. There's one up at Wordsmith Air Base where they contaminated the aquifer with PFAS. Now they have to put pumps and pump it out and clean it up, and it's a huge, huge bill. Typically what happens, you make a mess, what happens to the firm? They declare bankruptcy, they go away, they pay to the limits of their liability, they take anything else that was there, the township has their limits of liability, and guess what? Who gets stuck with the bill? Well, the township gets it, and how do you get paid for it? You're gonna have to raise the taxes of everyone pay a possible bill off. There's an unfunded liability there if indeed you're getting that effect, which we don't know. There's a lot of questions here. Are there pollutants going into that or not? I would sure like to know that because I'd like to keep my taxes down. Also, if that happens, the property values go down. Nobody wants to live near polluted water. You're going to have to run in a water line, and that affects everybody's property's values, which drives it down, affects your tax base. We have some concerns here, and again, I don't know if I'm in that aquifer. I'm like eight-ish miles over, but I could be. There's a lot of other people here who could be, and they don't want to drink poisoned water. I've drank poisoned water from Camp Lejeune. I've been poisoned, and I'm on a national watch list for 5 years. The federal government has a $500 billion plus cleanup mess. Millions of people have been affected by that water. I understand what happens when you get poisoned. We don't want to have that happen here.
Thank you.
My name's Dan Rossio from 60529 Gratiot, Comics just up the street. And I wanted to expand on some of the material that Denny Esper shared with you before he was timed out. Photo 6 that he provided, if you take a look at the body of water there, there's a clear ditch that runs from the east side. And whatever they're excavating, that material is going to flow through that ditch into the water or vice versa. And that looked like something, you know, you should find noteworthy. And then photo 8 shows that the concrete material he talked about is still on site. Photo 5 also shows a well pipe, and that pipe has been clearly excavated around. And there's a concern as to how deep that pipe is and how well it's being monitored to make sure none of those contaminants get into the groundwater.
Thank you.
I'm Bernie Rossio, live at 25589 26 Mile Road. I just remember being here last year. I asked for a third-party engineer, an inspection of the sand pit, and all the people on the board voted to renew the permit. Obviously, the citizens really don't qualify to mean much. I'd like to know if the township is okay to select a third-party engineer, or who is it up to? Third thing, remember that I asked the township engineer a year ago, what happens if the pit site is overdug? The engineer said, I have to bring it back. At this time, I told the township engineer, you know and I know that they won't bring the sand back into the township pit. They'll use fill dirt. And he also agreed with me. And the fourth thing is, I would like to have a list of the farmers who gave up their topsoil to this pit. I find it interesting that there would be topsoil hauled into the pit by the local farmers or by the contractor getting it from local farmers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Eisen from 65700 South Forest, also representing my parents who are at 68111 Pashook. The well monitor that is there, the pipe currently sticks, from my understanding, about 14 feet out of the ground, has no electric to it, and it's supposed to monitor when the water level is low. It was brought up at the meeting on Monday about it, but there's never any clarification on it. We'd like to know how that is actually being monitored.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under this consent agenda are considered routine by the Township Board and will be enacted by one motion. According to established Township meeting rules, there will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the board or public so requests at or prior to the meeting, in which event the chair of the meeting may remove such items from the consent agenda for discussion and consideration under agenda item number 8 below. Approval of the consent agenda shall be by majority. Roll call vote of those present and voting.
For orders and bills, there is $668,719.88 that needs to be approved.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda and orders and bills in the amount of $668,719.88.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer House, supported by Trustee Clifford. May the Deputy Clerk please call the roll.
Connell.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Gurley.
Aye.
Reader.
Aye. All right, moving on. Item removed from consent agenda, New Haven Community School District presentation. I believe we have Superintendent Bruce Buchanan. All right, we'll work it through for you. If it wants to connect.
If it doesn't.
Can everybody see it well? I mean, should I shut the lights off above? Can you guys see it?
There we go.
So, good evening. My name is Cheryl Kuster-Kevich. I'm the superintendent for the New Haven Community School District. I'm here tonight. I thought all of you were here to see me. I was so excited. But this will be riveting anyways. I am here tonight because the New Haven Community School District is going for a no tax rate increase bond proposal. It is for just over $43 million, but it is a no tax rate increase. The election is going to be on May 7th, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. There are absentee ballots available starting March 28th and can be cast all the way through Election Day. So what is on the ballot? It's a $43.6 million no tax rate increase bond proposal. How will the voter approval of the bond not increase? It's basically we're taking the current bond that we have and we're extending it. We've got some equity built into that. So right now we have 8.26 mils that are levied towards the for the schools, and that was going to be good through 2029. So if this bond passes, we'll pay that 8.26 again for 30 and 31, and then it drops about half in 32. It's kind of like having equity in your home and you just extend your mortgage, you pay it a little longer. That's what we're going to be doing with this, and that's how it is a no tax rate. Why is it necessary? Well, you're probably very aware that New Haven is a growing community, and Lenox, New Haven, Chesterfield, Macomb, all reside in the New Haven School District. And we are growing at our elementary. It's an attractive place for young couples, young families to start out with a lot of their first-time home buyers. And so at our elementary rooms, we are kind of busting at the seams. At New Haven Elementary, I had to move all 5th grade over to Endeavor because we were out of classrooms at New Haven Elementary. And when I moved all the 5th grade to Endeavor, that makes Endeavor have 0 classrooms to grow as well. We did, for one of the years, we had to take some of our classes. We had one class being taught on the stage, another class being taught in the gym. Those are kind of band-aids that we did. But it's in this day and age, like I continue to say, they're large areas that are not able to be locked down very easy, and they're not, in this time, sadly, we live in a time where we have to make sure the security in the school and all the spots that the kids occupy are easily able to be locked down. And so in the areas we had moved some of these classes to, that wasn't the case. So we made the decision to move it over to Endeavor Middle School. And so our 5th grade is there. But again, we are out of school. We are out of rooms, and we have nowhere to grow. A year and a half ago, Macomb Commissioner called me, Mr. Viviano, and he requested a meeting, and he let us know. And he's like, I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. 80% of the building that we are doing in Macomb Township lies in the New Haven School District. They have approximately 3,000 houses, just under 3,000 houses going in the New Haven Community School District. And like I said to the board, if half of those houses have one child, that doubles our population that we have in New Haven. So we are really looking at expanding, and we're also looking at making, in order to expand, we are bringing Seaford Elementary. If you know where Seaford is, it's off of 26 Mile Road. It used to be the elementary school, and then New Haven got built, and then Endeavor got built. We'll be remodeling, completely bringing that 100% up to code if the bond passes, and we'll be moving the Endeavor Elementary students into that building. That is a big building. It gives us a lot of room to grow as we continue to grow, and by moving elementary out, it then allows us to grow at the middle school as well. There are some things we're doing with the football field. We're installing one at Endeavor because the kids don't have one, and when the Endeavor Middle School football team practices or plays, they have to be bused over to the high school. So we'll make that a true middle school campus. Seaford will be a true elementary campus. And we are making improvements at the high school, as well as a lot of updates with technology as well. So those are the main things that we are doing. Our preschool is growing. It is growing by a ton. If the governor has already committed to having free 4-year-old preschool, which means when that happens, and it won't be next year, but we're thinking the next possible year, that will again have a lot of parents utilize preschool at 4. We are out of classes at the admin building to house preschool students. So we'll take part of that first floor and reduce some of the classes that we rent out right now to adult special ed classrooms through the MISD, and we'll make them preschool. We'll expand the playground because the playground, currently the playground doesn't even fit all the kids. Only one class can go out at a time. There's many days a lot of the kids don't even get to go out and have their recess on the playground because we can't get all the classes out. So we are growing, which is a good thing. This bond, which is a no tax rate increase, will allow us to continue to grow. That will have us have 5 buildings then. We'll have the preschool program, which will still stay at the administrative building off of Clark Street. We'll have 2 elementaries. We will have New Haven Elementary as well as Seaford Elementary. Endeavor will continue then to serve 5th through 8th grade, and then New Haven High School will be 9th through 12th grade. I've had a lot of parents say, what about the high school? What about the high school? Eventually, right now the high school's in beautiful shape. We have plenty of room. We do not have any structural issues going on at the high school with the building. But at some point down the line, will the high school have to be made bigger? Possibly, if all of these students, are starting at the elementary, eventually move their way up to the high school. That's quite a bit down the line, in probably another 10 years. What will it take to reopen Seaford? We have to basically bring it up 100% up to code. The building at the district standpoint has not housed kindergarten through 12th grade students in quite a long time, and so on our insurance it's considered vacant. We are allowed to rent it out to programs that have kids 18 or older, which is what we currently do. But to bring K through 12, 100% of it has to now be brought up to code. So, for example, the district I came from, the building was built in the 50s. Our bathrooms were not ADA compliant. Our parking lot was not. Our playgrounds were not. But we were grandfathered in because we were always in elementary and we always had, K through 12 age students in this. Seaford has been brought 100% up to code, which is a good thing. If we're going to bring Seaford back on, we need to make sure that Seaford is safe for all the students that will be going there. Throughout the district, we have done a ton of safety updates in all of our buildings because we applied and received many safety grants. And so Seaford would have to be brought up to all the safety standards we now have at all the buildings. For example, every building, you no longer go into the building or walk into the office. You press a button and you are vetted outside, and in once they know who you are and if you have an appointment. If not, they make you wait until they confirm that, somebody is supposed to be meeting with them. It allows us to just know who's coming into our building. All the windows on the main floors and any area that, for example, the Endeavor cafeteria, with one of our competitive grants, we had window casings placed on all that outside, which means I don't want to say they're shatterproof because they can be shattered, but it takes quite a lot now to get through those windows. So in Tennessee, when there was somebody that shot into the building's doors, the glass immediately shattered and they walked right through. That is not what will happen at our buildings because they now have this film on it. It will take quite a bit for somebody to break through that and get through that film, which gives us, it might only be 3 to 4 minutes, but in 3 to 4 minutes, kids can be locked down, people can be secured, police will be on the way. We've done a lot of those updates, and we have to make sure if Seaford is reopened, that school has all of those modern updates as well. This is a rendering of what we're looking to do for Seaford. It will be a completely different building on the outside, as well as a lot on the inside. Here's another rendering that they're looking at. Can the bond go for anything like employee salaries, operating expenses? No, it can't. We have lots of meetings with the Treasury. We've had to have everything we've suggested approved. It cannot go for salaries. It cannot go to fix things that are broken. It has to go for, it can't go for our daily operating expenses. It has to go for everything that we declare in the bond that we're going to do. We have to use it for that. Safety measures that will be added. Again, we've done a lot, so for the most, it's bringing Seaford up to the standard of the other buildings that we have in the New Haven Community School District. Learning updates to the environment. As you know, technology, the day it comes out, just like new cars, it's already old. And so technology is ever changing. We've done a lot of updates with technology, but we're going to continue to refresh our technology to make sure all our students have Chromebooks, all our teachers have Clever Touch boards that sync to their Chromebook so they can teach lessons from it. It's not a screen, it's actual like a computer board. We will continue to be competitive with the districts around us and make sure that we're constantly refreshing all of our devices, again, so that we can compete with all the other districts. If you haven't heard, our data is doing really well. Hopefully, if you lived in the New Haven Community School District, you got the last newsletter. We, in the New Haven Community Schools, our high school, they have a new way of rating high schools, and the Macomb Daily came out with an article on all the high schools in Macomb, and New Haven High School got the second best score out of all the high schools in the Macomb County. They have something called the All Academic Awards. It's the top 100 kids in Macomb County. It's just the top 100, based on SAT scores and attendance and GPA and some of those factors. And a lot of districts don't have any. There's no guarantee your district's going to have any kids. In New Haven, we had 5 kids out of the 100 qualified. And they may not seem like a lot, but I did to see how much student population do we make out of Macomb County's total student population. New Haven makes up 1% of the total student population in Macomb County. But 5 out of 100, we took 5% of the spots. So we are doing well. Our elementary data, we just got told by the MASD when they were going to partner with us on a math literacy grant, and I found out because we are scoring above the state average, they can no longer partner with us. That's a great thing. I mean, I would like the money to partner with us, but the fact that our data is doing what it's doing, we are really competitive, especially in the northern part of Macomb County. You have 2 ways to vote unless you're in Macomb County. The polls are on May 7th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Absentee ballots are available now. You just can go through your county clerk and request it. If you're in Macomb County voting precinct, which probably most of you are not, but if you know somebody, they actually have early voting for this initiative, and it'll be from April 27th through May 5th. So you can go anytime in person and vote from April 27th to May 5th. We need everyone to get out there and vote and hopefully support it since it is a no tax rate increase. We want to stay competitive. New Haven's worked hard and they've come a long way. Out in the hallway, there are these flyers available. My name and my contact information is on it. Feel free to call me. I've had quite a few people calling me. A lot of them are not people that are in the district. They're in the district, they don't have kids in the district anymore. And they have some very valid concerns. I answer every phone call and I answer every email. So hopefully you'll say, yeah, you got it. You can call me. On our website, we have a lot of bond information. You can go and get as much bond information or call me or email. I'll send you anything that you need. And hopefully I didn't take up. Thank you for listening to me. And don't forget May 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving on, unfinished business. Item A, paving material standards modification. Mr. Safe.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening. This item was tabled from last meeting. That was brought up for the board consideration of a changing to the current standards which prohibit the use of asphalt millings. As the board know that back in 08, 09, that we did some investigation and provided a report to the board that did not recommend use this material for any pavement type. And currently, it looks like there's an interest to use that material for residential driveways. So this matter is being brought back to the board for consideration.
If there's no discussion, the motion will be entertained.
We've been dancing with this for a long time. I'm willing, we were supporting the township ordinance. I'm willing to make a motion to allow asphalt millings to be used on residential driveways and have the ban on commercial stay in effect as it says.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by trustee Clifford, second by treasurer Arnold. May the deputy clerk please call the roll.
Clifford,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Reader,
Aye.
Lawson,
No.
Curley.
Aye.
Michelle?
I said aye.
Yes.
Aye.
I think your mic's not working. All right, item 10, new business. Taja Enterprises LLC, mining operation, parcel number 19-06-03-100-002, address 32680 32 Mile Road. So, as we heard tonight, our residents have raised and identified concerns regarding the possible decrease of water levels, possible contaminants. After talking with our township attorney, I think it would be in the best interest of everyone here to have an independent third-party investigation into the water levels to make sure that they're not going down. And the fact that make sure that no one's property becomes unlivable anymore.
Oh, hi, Board. Supervisor. I probably heard the last meeting with the Planning Commission. They tabled it for I could do our due diligence and hire these third-party experts. I did reach out to an engineer. They said 7 to 10 days on Tuesday. We're going to go out and start doing grade elevation shots, water elevation shots on the pond. I reached out to 3 separate geotech hydrologists. Finally got back with one today from McDowell Associates, a very reputable company. And they are looking at our previous studies, are going to come out and create another study on their own for the monitoring wells and lake level, do the sampling of the water for any contaminants.
any soil. It's kind of their specialty. All our previous experts have either unfortunately deceased or retired throughout this effort. So this is bringing somebody kind of new up to speed. There's monitoring wells in the northeast corner by the berm, or I'm sorry, northwest corner, southwest corner by the berm, and on the west side, pretty much right in the center of the property. But it's that there are other property corners, not what they're seeing out in up the pit. Those were, I think we must have set 60 wells in testing throughout when we first started it. They were monitored as they were getting the lake. Most of those got dug up with the lake. What they're seeing now are the ones that were left. If you have any other questions on any other concerns, I have answers, but it's up to you if you want me to go through.
I think a third-party investigation into the water levels in people's wells is definitely needed at this point.
Yeah, and absolutely, that's one of the studies. Back when we got our permit, we did a well study on anybody that volunteered their well. Part of that original permit was if anybody had any problems with their wells, they were supposed to notify the town to notify us, and we can take a look at their well and ours and see if there's any issues. I can guarantee which ones, like there's a list, it's all in the book, which people participated in that program. But our lake level is controlled at the outfall, and it hasn't went down. It's maintaining the same level throughout the whole process.
Any questions from any members of the board?
What we talked about at the planning commission meeting, excuse me, these groups that you're hiring, are they going to have their studies done within the 60-day time limit?
I believe so. That's what I gave them, that I needed to get back within 60 days of that meeting. To give them enough time to Mr. Faith review their information as well. And I can assure you, there's no fill going in there. We are bringing topsoil in. I know it seems like a point of contention that people don't give away topsoil, but in my line of work, topsoil is kind of a byproduct on development. It's a lot easier for us to haul a usable resource that we can use, control dust, grow vegetation, and not have to get rid of clay. So absolutely no clay coming in. The only clay that you'll see moving around site is a lot of clay that we found on site that has to be relocated on site to meet our grades. About 2 years ago, now maybe a year and a half ago, we found a very prominent clay pile in the middle of the lake. And there was some talk back and forth whether we were leaving it in the lake, excavate it down. We decided to excavate it down. We didn't want a weed bed in the middle of the lake. So if you look on their pictures, they must have not read the trespassing signs tape, but on the east side of the property, there's a pile of clay that came from the lake that was piled there, knowing that I'm gonna have to build a berm and build the slopes with that dirt as we go around the property. Like I told the planning commission, I'll open up to the board if anybody would go for a ride out there, like show them around, show our operation. There's nothing to hide. Feel free, contact the office, contact me, and we can set that up.
Thank you. If there's no discussion, I will make the motion to require an independent third-party investigation into the claims of decreased water levels, as well as all requests made by the planning commission, with the township engineer to review the final results.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by the chairs, seconded by Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Reader,
Aye.
O'Connell,
Aye.
Gurley,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Just clarification, Mr. Supervisor, when he said third party, is that hired by the Parks Act or hired directly by the township?
What's the township's recommendation? An independent third party recommended by the township. Is that? Is that acceptable to Mr. Piper's Act?
Yeah, there's very limited people that do the hydrology studies. There's 3 companies. I'm happy with any one of the 3. The first one that got back with me seemed fairly knowledgeable. So.
Does that clear things up, Mr. Singh?
Sorry, I missed that. I was talking to the attorney. So who's going to hire the third party geotechnical engineer? They are.
Yep.
And they will present the data back to us.
Back to you.
For
and you can
recommendation.
present it back to the board.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. Moving on, item B, Farmland Preservation Program Proposal, new parcel number for 2025, parcel number ID 19-06-07-100-039. Mr. Grable.
Good evening, Board. This evening, the Supervisor's Office is coming forward requesting that the Board approve this request for farmland open space preservation. This has been brought forward by the last name of the Doss family, located at 27,031 Mile Road. It is with recommendation that we go ahead and approve this. This request is to contain this 40 acres or more parcel into a 20-year farm capability and hold that into the preservation program. This has been going on throughout the state in numerous areas. With that, we'll open it up to the board for any questions, comments, or recommendation to move forward. This has been going on routinely in areas trying to hold farm preservation.
If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the Farmland Preservation Program for Matthew and Stephanie Doss on parcel ID number 19-06-07-100-039 for the maximum of 20 years as requested.
Second.
I have a motion by the chair, supported by Trustee Gurley. May the Deputy Clerk please call the roll.
Reader,
Aye.
Gurley,
Aye.
Connell,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Reader,
I think you already called it. Lawson.
Lawson.
Aye.
All right, item C, A&B Commercial Cleaning Contract Renewal, Mr. Graybow.
Good evening, Board. This evening, in front of your group and the packet involved is concerning A&B Commercial Cleaning. This evening, we are requesting to bring this forward as an operations control item here within the township. The request is to continue A&B Commercial Cleaning throughout the next year on a weekly cost of $263.27. This brings in a person once a week to completely clean and sanitize the building within Town Hall. We've maintained this. This has been a routine and regular service. This contract cost involves all items required under A&B. It includes their insurance for the employee. It includes workers' comp, all of those items. It is with high recommendation at this point in time that we provide this to go back to the board with an approval recommendation. At this point in time, I'll open it up for any questions or comments.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the renewal of the cleaning contract with A&B Commercial Cleaning to clean the township office building 1 day a week. for a year at the cost of $263.27 per week.
Second.
Motion by trustee Gurley, supported by trustee Clifford. May the deputy clerk please call the roll.
Gurley,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Connell,
Aye.
Reader.
Aye. All right, moving on. Item D, Mitel telephone maintenance renewal. Madam Clerk.
Our Mitel contract is up for renewal, which is the support system for our phones. According to High Tech, our current phone system is older, which means if anything were to fail on it, we would have to get a complete replacement. So they suggested that we approve the 1-year contract or 3-year at most. I am recommending that we approve the 1-year contract.
I will make a motion to approve the Mitel maintenance renewal contract for the maintenance of the township phone system for 1 year at a cost of $1,399.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Howell, supported by trustee Clifford. May the deputy clerk please call the roll.
Connell,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Gurley,
Aye.
Reader,
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
All right, item E, business licensing ordinance, first reading. So this is just to make sure all of you get it and can read it before we bring it to you next board meeting. This is an ordinance, basically, after what happened in Clinton Township, we need to make sure that we keep our best interests in the public safety, make sure that you don't have someone basically storing a bunch of hazardous materials on their site, which they're never approved for. And this is only applying to businesses, not residents or home occupations.
So you'll bring it back next month.
Yes. No actions required on it. This is just a first reading, so you can go through it. And all right, moving on. Vendor disclosure form proposal. Mr. Ray.
Good evening, Board. After going through numerous projects here within the township and piggybacking off of the county of Macomb, Macomb County now has a new vendor disclosure form for information to verify that folks are not grafting or having internal corruption for people basically working for their friends and families and relatives. So, with that being said, we have created a form. I actually reviewed it. Our engineer had taken a look at it also. We went through and kind of just looked at these things to make sure this is a high-level item that says, I'm not getting any money back because I bid on something or so on and so forth. This is basically a disclosure statement. If in fact someone is a relative or a person that bid on a program, you have to disclose that information. We need to have that above the board and clear. As many of you remember, for years back, we've actually had a number of issues in the county that there was a lot of questionable activities. This form is a request back in front of the board to make it a standard practice for anyone doing business with the township to disclose this form and send it back. It has to be kept on file with the township during their entire contract or their renewal items that are required. With that, any questions, I'll be more than happy to open up. Back to the board for questions, considerations.
If there's no discussion on the item, I'll make a motion to approve the vendor disclosure form as proposed to be used as a document for vendors performing work for Lenox Township.
Second.
I have a motion by the chair, seconded by Clerk Lawson. May the deputy clerk please call the roll.
Reader,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Connell,
Aye.
Gurley,
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
All right, moving on. Item G, Paychecks Human Resources Proposal. Madam Clerk.
Our payroll system provides an opportunity for continuing education and provides support for HR services. After being appointed to the clerk's position, it has become apparent to me that having an HR support from experts in the field is necessary. None of us in the building are experts on laws and regulations, and making sure Lenox Township is compliant is more than a want. It is only fair to our employees, managers, and board members that we are educated and have a resource when we need it. This is not a contract. Paychecks allows a month-to-month plan, and we can cancel at any time. They are, however, offering 2 free months if we sign up for 5 months, which includes an upgrade to our current time and attendance plan as well. This allows managers to approve time cards, and it allows PTO tracking. The documents in front of you show what we currently pay for running payrolls and what the increase would be for upgrading. This is a relatively small cost compared to hiring someone who is an expert in HR or being fined for things that we aren't aware of. It is my hope that in the 5 months we will be able to learn through their online classes and ensure we comply with state and federal laws in all things HR related. So we won't have to have like a long-term plan with them. I'm hoping that we can reassess after the time frame is over.
If there's no discussion on the item, a motion will be entertained.
I will make a motion to approve the Paychecks Human Resources proposal on a trial basis for 5 months at the cost of $3,564 as recommended by Clerk Lawson, to be reviewed at the end of 5 months.
Is there support for the motion?
I second.
I have a motion by Treasurer House, supported by Trustee Gurley. May the Deputy Clerk please call the roll.
Connell,
Aye.
Gurley,
Aye.
Reader,
Nay.
Clifford,
Nay.
Lawson.
Lawson.
Aye.
It's been a long day.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Moving on, item H, vehicle tracking subscription proposal. Madam.
Good evening. Madam Clerk has asked me to put this together, and this is going to be a twofold item. The clerk's office has asked me to speak on this behalf and explain this to the board. This evening, based upon asset management control, insurance, vehicle tracking is a key item, along with our cellular device control systems. The township for a long period of time has not had these items. Under insurance requirements, it is an item that looks at our safety records, our retention policy, asset management, and control. It directly ties into also a cellular device program that we're looking at. With that this evening, our law enforcement side has their own tracking system through the Sheriff's Department. Our fire and EMS has its own tracking system and vehicle management system through its operations. The township is looking forward to moving forward and tracking the equipment and the asset management we have within the township. Now this allows us to also extend not only into the vehicles themselves, but also into equipment. As you all know, as residents of this township, we have a lot of money tied up into equipment. We need to look at and control the asset management of that equipment. It's very easy, it's very systematic, it's very normal nowadays. There is nowhere we don't go without cameras, without tracking systems, without something. This is the world we live in today. We spend a lot of money, and our tax dollars are put into those pieces of equipment. The high recommendation is to actually track that equipment and control that asset management. If at any point in time we decide to extend this into additional items, it's very simple. We hear on the news every day about tractors, lawnmowers, trucks, all kinds of stuff being stolen. Ambulances are being stolen. Every time we turn around, they're stealing one. GPS tracking allows you to actually follow, pinpoint, and have this equipment immediately. Is it an insurance reduction for us? Most definitely. It also allows us flexibility and control of the assets. With that, the board has reviewed several different items. They looked at 3 different companies. The number 1 recommendation comes back from Verizon, and that is the GPS for 4 township vehicles, which totals out at $75.80 a month. Recommendation is that the items be put forth and allow the clerk's office to continue to manage that operation in order to control the assets, which are then turned over to our insurance company for their reviews. Any questions? I'll be more than happy to review that. Any questions or comments? Bring it back to the board. Now that's one of 2 parts. I have a second part on the cellular device.
If there is no discussion from the board, the motion will be entertained.
Well, it's just, Mark, I'm sure you guys did your due diligence here, but this is about the going rate. for these
This is
services.
actually, Mr. Clifford, if you take a look, flip over on the back, you see it?
Yeah, I see that. I see that. I've looked at this
$18.95 per unit. And that only involves the 4 vehicles. Now, if we decide to add anything to that, such as lawnmowers or tractors or any high-priced dollar equipment, we can add that to the system, and I believe, if I remember correctly, through those meetings, it's actually that price or lower, because those tracking units were less, and they were actually in the $10 range. For the insurance, it's a benefit beyond belief. Keep in mind, EMS, fire, law enforcement, they all have these. It'll show hard braking, it shows rapid acceleration. If we're in an accident, and we have been able to prove these things in the past, not on our equipment, but on the fire and police, or fire and EMS side, they've proven to be a grace of safety for us.
I will make a motion to approve the vehicle tracking subscription proposal at the cost of $75.80 per month for 4 township vehicles.
I will second.
I have a motion by Clerk Clausen, seconded by Treasurer Arnold. Ladies and gentlemen, clerk, please call the roll.
Lawson.
Aye.
Connell.
Aye.
Gurley. Aye. Reader.
Aye.
Clifford.
Nay.
All right, item I, cellular device purchase proposal.
All right, with that, moving forward, there's also a proposal in front of you this evening from the clerk's office. This is also dealing with cellular device items. We have looked in the past, we've looked at a number of items bringing this forward. We do not need equipment being cross-referenced. We have elected officials that are required to be available at any given time and required to utilize phones. In the past, we've used stipends. to cover those phones, where they could utilize their own personal cell phone. That has become an item that is not the most conducive to do business. The most conducive to do business is a separate device that is strictly designed for government work. At no given time should we ever have a personal device crisscrossed with a government device. Government work is government work, personal is personal. These devices on a government program, believe it or not, I wish I could get this price because this is phenomenal. These rates for operating off of the phones, unlimited time, unlimited smartphone plan, is $39 a month. For the peace of mind and the operation. Now, we have our clerk is required to control the building remotely. They need to be able to access that. The supervisor is required to access. Our deputy or our treasurer is required to access. So at this point in time, we're requesting that the Board of Trustees consider approval of a minimum 3 cell phones at $44.99 total for the month.
That's each, sorry. 44.
Actually, that's $39.99 a month, sorry.
Oh, with the $5.
With the $5, yes. Excuse me, with the hotspot so that they can actually tie in their laptops. We're requesting that a total of 3 cell phones at this time with an opportunity for expansion at the board's request. If additional units are needed, we'll bring that back to the board for any questions, comments, or consideration. Ms. Gurley? You have, okay, I thought maybe there was a question. And really this is a separation because all electronic devices can be retrieved for any information.
If there's no discussion on the item, a motion will be entertained.
I will make a motion to approve the contract with Verizon for 3 128 gigabyte iPhone 13 for the clerk, supervisor, and treasurer at the cost of $179.96 per month.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer House, supported by Clerk Lawson. May the Deputy Clerk please call the roll.
Connell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Clifford,
Nay.
Gurley,
Aye.
Reader.
Aye. All right, item J, contractor stipend modification. Mr. Graybaugh?
Good evening, board. This evening I'm coming forward from the supervisor's office at a request of our electrical contractor. Our electrical contractor has given me permission, if the board decides or if our legal decides, to go into closed session on any discussions on this. But at this point in time, we believe that this is an open comment section. Mr. Osterman, our electrical contractor, is requesting the opening of his contract with Lenox Township to increase his stipend. Currently, his rate is $150 per week, and we're requesting to move the stipend to $200 per week for the additional reasons below, which we have seen significantly increase in the last 8 to 10 months. Mr. Osterman has been working with DTE nonstop. This has never been included in his contract or his stipend that we had seen. Also with our public safety departments, we're having excessive demands between the electrical, DTE, and safety. And if we understand this correctly, so the public understands, our electrical contractor is the key between the over usage. When DTE reaches out and says, you guys got a problem with an address, they're taking down a ton of power, something's not right. Our electrical contractor is the one that has to review that, then into code enforcement. He's the one required to go to court, he's the one required to step up. He is the one required to demand that DTE disconnects the power or energizes the power. The safety issues and the time spent is considerable, but he's also the liaison between our public safety, which if we send somebody in a situation, he takes a lot of risk for this. So with that recommendation, the supervisor's office is bringing it back to the board, requesting to offer the stipend increase for Mr. Osterman to be moved from $150 a week to $200 per week for those additional reasons at this point in time. I'll open it up to the board. Any questions, comments?
Well, I have to make a comment. If Mr. Osterman wants his job reviewed in closed session, he has to be here to demand it. He cannot delegate that responsibility as much as he may like him to trust you. He cannot delegate that responsibility by law. If you guys want to act in open session and do that, that's up to you. But if you want to review his position and his performance, he has a right to have that in closed session. If you plan on this motion to discuss performance, you've got it, and he wants it in closed session, he has that right, but he's got to be here and ask or demand it in writing.
This wasn't, that's typically in a disciplinary hearing, correct?
If you're going to review his performance, that also he has a right to have in closed session. If you don't review his performance, I guess you can vote for whatever you want. You're the board. Okay? And I hope I'm making this distinction clear. If he's having a review of his performance in order to raise, lower, fire discipline, he has a right to have a closed session, but he must be here to demand it or demand it in writing. He cannot delegate that permission or demand to me or Mr. Graybaugh or anybody on the board. That's all I can tell you. That's the legal position you find yourselves in. If you want to move it for a month and he can make that demand, you can always make your vote retroactive as to when you start paying him the additional stipend. And if you deny it, it won't make a difference.
Just to be clear on my side of this, Mr. Osterman did in fact send a letter saying that if there was a reason that the board wanted, he would then be willing to be present for closed session. But at this point in time, what we're bringing forward is no issues, just an enhanced requirement for the work. We've just added additional work to his requirements at this point in time, and he's asking to be duly compensated for it.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the modification for the electrical inspector from $150 per week to $200 per week, reflecting the increased workload.
Second.
I have a motion by the chair, supported by Clerk Lawson. May the deputy clerk please call the roll.
Reader,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Connell,
Aye.
Gurley. Aye.
Great.
Supervisor, one last thing before I step down this evening. I want to take just a brief moment to the board and direct an appreciation and a thank you. Today, this morning, we were able to do a ribbon cutting to the Community Senior Center, and because of this board's support, we were below time, much less time than planned, and we were below budget. This morning, we were able to perform a soft ribbon cutting. We have some safety items to finish up, but the residents of this township need to be extremely proud of the board of what they've done and set forth. They have created a community senior center that is beyond belief of being brought forward today. We had well over 100 plus people attend for the ribbon cutting. Your elected officials were here. You had seniors here. You had Chamber of Commerce. We had people from all over. They were extremely impressed at the work that was done and what this board has given back to the community for the enhancements of this. In the future, they will have some more information coming forward, but I just want to give a thanks to the board for supporting this program, putting it together, and making it what it is today. It's a beautiful facility. Within the next 10 days, it'll be fully open. You guys will be more than welcome to come over, take a walk through. Seniors attend Monday mornings and Wednesday mornings at this point in time. It'll become part of the community program for the Parks and Recs. So look forward to it. The best part of this is this board has been committed to putting forth the public safety that it has done. And it has also increased the size and the location for the Sheriff's Department contract. That contract requires us to provide space for them. We now have space for both female and male deputies. We have ADA compliancy requirements. We have decontamination for biohazards for them. These are all things that people don't remember that are required. These deputies work out of their cars day in and day out. We've done this in a number of communities. Lenox Township is proud to set forward what they've done today, setting forth the information and the program for the future. I can't be proud enough of this board for what they've done and support.
Get an opportunity, please take a look.
Well, that was my time.
That was
operating, but I want to thank the board again. You guys have done a fabulous job and all the support. Thank you.
All right, moving
I
on.
do have a question. Mark, are we still obligated, I realize we have a senior director, but are we still obligated to keep a full-time employee there?
Okay, no, our senior director, so the senior director has graciously committed and volunteered her time. Ms. Candell, as you all know, was the former clerk of the board. She is named the senior coordinator of that area. The only time we have an employee in that, and let me clarify that, Mr. Clifford, a staff member, because she is a volunteer now, not an employee. And the only time we have a staff member in that building will be for those events, for the seniors. Now, as the board moves forward and that building becomes more activity in the community center, you're going to have community people covering. And once we get that building ready and open for community activities or rentals, you will then have a contract that comes in front of this board to review the operations program so that you have a dedicated staff member that will in fact have to be reimbursed and paid by anyone that rents the facility.
And you might not know off the top of your head, how many township residents are seniors are there?
Today we had approximately 34 seniors from our township. Just this program. Pardon me?
How many's in the program?
In the program, I believe we're right about 42. We've increased to about 42 that attend routinely.
And 34 of those are ours in the township?
That were there today, that's correct. There was a lot more that were there because remember, we had elected officials, so being able to actually count that today was absolutely impossible. The attendance was way beyond what we expected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to public comment, I'll remind everyone there is a 3-minute limit. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Washington. I live at 67330 Gashalt Road, and I'm here with my concern. My lake, or my home, is actually directly and physically connected to Purpose Lake. It was by a pipe that was put in through Lenox that we actually paid for with him. So I do have concern about his water and any contamination. First of all, no disrespect, but Mr. Syed, you're a civil engineer. Your specialty is in sewers and construction. My concern is more about the environment. He's not only just mining, but he's bringing things in. You all have evidence of those rocks or stones or pavements he's brought in. Obviously, we have other things coming in, whether it be topsoil, which can drain into that lake. That lake is physically connected to my lake, which was done by the township. So yes, I did contact Eagle, which is the environmental Great Lakes, because they have environmental engineers. Environmental engineers they're there to protect our water and our quality of water. Because basically we do not want contamination from pavements or roads or who knows where these topsoils came from, what kind of chemicals were used. Do we all know? And that goes to my lake because of a pipe that was put in through Lenox that we had to pay for. I also had a concern, so I really don't care. My big concern is I don't want any more dumping. I don't want trucks of dirt from who knows where coming in to that property and then put around the lake, which does drain into the lake, which can again contaminate my lake. Not even the waterways or your waters, yes, but also mine. And that is a concern for me. And that is why I think we need to get people who are specialized, not just in the level of the lake, but what about the environment? That's why we contacted Eagle, because maybe they can find out. That's what they do, quality of water. That's what you don't want to have contamination water. That is the most important thing is drinking water. Biggest concern in the world, water shortage. Look at all the third world countries, they're all worried about contamination of water. And here we have dirt, road, you have pictures there of those roads. He did it once before. How do we know he's not doing it? I don't watch him all the time. You're right, I don't go on his property. We see these piles from above. Nobody was on his property to take those photos. You can look at them. They're all taken, they were so high, you couldn't but miss them. So that is my concern, the environment. The environment is very important, and the contamination of the water. I don't want any further dumping of anything brought onto that property. He can mine his sand until you guys feel it's enough, but bringing stuff into it, I don't think that's his permit. His permit was not to bring stuff and get rid of for other jobs he had, like he said when he had those pavements. Well, they're for my other jobs, so I brought them there. Why? This is a sand pit, this is a mining pit, this isn't a dump field. You want to dump, take it to a dump. Well, that's it. And I have one more further thing. I'm not really quite sure why we're here, when 1 week ago, at the planning committee, it was decided that he has 2 months to find a third-person engineer to do it. His operation was continued until he did that. Why did I have to get a phone call that we're having a meeting? Because he's trying to overpass it? Was he hoping that you guys would just say, oh, we'll let it go for another year? Why was he here again tonight? Did he have any answers? No. Why was he here? That's my, I kind of wonder. Why would, and yes, he should be paying for it. Why? Any other businesses that have to come up, I'm sure they have. When I built a house, I had to get a contractor to bring my stuff to the committee to have anything done. His responsibility to buy papers on it, not our taxman. He wants to mine, he wants to bring in foreign junk and all and dump into that lake, contaminate the waters. He needs to clean it up too. Thank you.
Joe Rosseel, 25765 26 Mile Road. Have a couple comments. Like Mark said, the electrician's very important. I don't know if the board's aware, but the electrician, to my knowledge, lives up north. He comes once a week to perform the inspections here. We recently built a building. Him himself told me that in Lenox Township, Wednesday is the day that he would be around to inspect. I'm quite sure he's using a family's address in the area. I'm sure his check or however you pay him doesn't get sent out north. But I'd like you to look into that because as important as Mark said this job is, I think the inspector should live in the immediate area. Number two, recently we built in the township. We had to put a retention pond in, which was fine. Our engineer designed it, township engineer okayed that design. When we were done, we had to have an as-built. Our engineer again had to verify the capacity. Township engineer again had to approve it. So for a retention pond, it went through four hands, four times total for approval. Now we've got a sand pit that hasn't been inspected since 2018 by everybody's admission, which is 6 years. So I think going forward, this board should recommend or demand that it is inspected at the minimum once a year. Thank you.
Danny Esper again. I don't know how to put this, but you've seen the pictures I gave. Do you see any piles of clay? Please answer that question. No. So where's all this clay coming from? They dug it out of the pit. Okay, there should be a pile on the ground showing where the clay was. But when they came with the permit, 24 years ago, we've been living with this mess. There ain't no clay on that site. There's no clay 100 and some feet down. Then the next problem. 3-4 years ago, when the concrete and asphalt was found on that property, as of Monday night, they said that material was moved, was off the property. And if you look through the folders I gave you, I think it's number 8, the material is still there. When is this board gonna say, lying is done, let's go to the facts? I have been talking to other pit operators. Most of them have an inspector from the township, a minimum every other month, in there watching what's going on. When was the last time inspector from this township was in there? Never. You have left a fox in the hen house. And that's why, if you notice, tonight, they didn't have no engineer with them. They didn't have no lawyer with them. Monday night, they didn't have no engineer, no lawyer with them. Because they have came used to this township, rubber stamping them to give them what they want. Show me, please, show us, your township people, what they have done to help the township. Nothing. The township does not even know how many yards of dirt they pulled out of that pit. The township does not know what they are doing. As I was told, they're just leveling off the site for their RV park. Single $1 million homes. When it started out with 2 rows of homes. All this stuff was going. They keep giving, the township keeps giving it to them. And now, when you look at them pictures, they are digging into the area that they should not be into. They're not leveling it off. They're putting the grade right back up in. And like I said, please, take time, look at them pictures. There is not a pile of clay on that property. There is asphalt, cement laying on that property. There is pipe from other jobs, and I don't know what you want to call it, laying on that property that should not be there. And as I said, I feel to go forward, they need to have either an inspector put in that goes in there every couple months saying, okay, you're doing okay. Why are you digging over there when it's out of bounds? They got the reign of the proud. And they have not brought nothing to this township. Here, we, the people of the township, the neighbors, the ones that have to live with it, are the ones suffering. And please take a look and look at the lies that has been given on this piece of property for the Piper's Act gain. The township has not gained anything. The people of the township has not gained anything. Please stop it, bring it into line, and then we'll settle.
Thank you, Ms. Casper.
Dan Rockfield again, tied to 60529 Gratiot. When we were building our facility there, the one that Joe Rossio previously mentioned, your engineer was telling us that there were no asphalt millings allowed in Lenox Township. Is there an ordinance on the books saying that? Because Mr. Clifford made a motion tonight that he wanted to continue a commercial ban on asphalt millings. And maybe you did put an ordinance on the book since then, but when we were constructing, there was no ordinance on the book. It was all just, verbal pressure not to do it. And we have a new facility. It's commercially engineered. Joe mentioned the retaining pond. There is underground drainage. We did everything we could to be as safe as we could, to, take environmental factors into consideration and follow the rules on the books. It's fine if you want to allow those millings, residentially, but a lot of those driveways and stuff, it's not the same protection that the commercial site affords to you. And here in Lenox, up and down Gratiot, where people are interested in using these millings, that's sewer, that's city water. Those pipes are all protected compared to the wells that everyone is concerned about. So I just don't see, how that motion works unless you did pass an ordinance against them for commercial properties. And, I personally disagree with it, but it should be on the books that that's the stance that you folks are taking. And it sounds like your engineer gave you suggestive material saying that those millings were detrimental to the environment. And it would be good for the community to know what reasoning went into your decision makings and to maybe make that material public, just so that way, we understand the reason behind it. Back to the sand pit, my understanding is Piper said they have a bond, to protect against any unforeseen issues. And Lenox Township, I'm sure, has some funds to address any mistakes, but I'm curious to know how much money you would have to address any remediation that would have to come into play if there was some sort of a environmental issue or well issue, because if those wells have to be replaced, where there is cleanup that has to occur, all that money is going to come from the community. We had the New Haven Community Schools presentation a little bit earlier. It's a wonderful community, it's growing, but you have stewardship over that. You have to do right by your current residents, and you have to keep Lenox attractive. It's supposed to be a good place for people to move to, a good place to build businesses in. And I guess the last thing tied to that I want to mention is accountability. It sounds like when Piper Sachs engineer presents, their findings to you, it's going to go through the engineer that you have on staff. And my understanding is that he gives you a lot of material that goes into your decision making. There's an issue found at the sand pit. I'm curious to know how you would address that with your engineer, what the consequences would be. I mean, if he's been giving you bad information or recommending that you rubber stamp permits year after year for this site, and it turns out that it's not what it's supposed to be, I think the community deserves to know what you would do about it before those third-party engineer findings come in. We want to know that you have our best interests at heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? All right, moving on. Closed session is no longer needed. Moving on to call from the board.
I have a question.
Yes.
My mic doesn't work, but on this paper about the phones, it states 4 on here, and we approved 3, but the total for the 3 is the total for 4.
That must have been a mistake. I think when they quoted us, they did quote us for 4. I'm not sure why. On the quote for the phones, it did say 4. I don't know why. That was a mistake then with the adding.
So do we need to redo that motion because it's $149?
Instead of the 179.
Al, do we need to
Mr.
redo
Ennis?
that?
Sorry.
About, there were 3 on the motion and prices for 4.
Correct.
Okay, you would merely have to amend the motion.
Amend the motion to show, okay, so just the same motion, just amend the amount. Okay.
The same motion, amending the amount, has to be seconded, and it's a monetary thing, has to have a roll call.
Okay.
Carol, who made the motion and who seconded?
I did. Amy Allen second.
Arnold, Lawson.
So what's the new amount?
$149.97 per month
Okay,
for the 3.
thank you. Motion to approve the contract with Verizon for 3 iPhone 13s for the clerk, supervisor, and treasurer at the cost of $149.97 per month.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Holland, supported by Clerk Clausen. Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Arnold,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Reader,
Aye.
Gurley.
Aye.
Is there anything else from the board on call for the board?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 8:02 p.m.
Second?
I have a motion by Trustee Gurley, seconded by Treasurer Holland. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried none. We are adjourned.